This is Radio Caroline. We have suspended our normal programs until further notice as a mark of respect following the passing of His Majesty King Charles III. This is Radio Caroline. His Majesty King Charles III has passed away. As a mark of respect, we will now be playing suitable continuous music until further notice.
Fear not, rumours of the King's death have been greatly exaggerated. Radio Caroline in the UK accidentally airing the standby transmission for the death of the King. The station said the mistake was caused by a computer glitch. Hello, I'm radio and television producer-presenter Rob McKnight. With over 30 years' experience, this is Media McKnight. Well, Channel 10 has confirmed my exclusive reporting about the axing of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, although the network says it is simply resting the show. Here's what I reported over a week before the official announcement. Channel 10 has axed reality TV show I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, according to trusted inside sources. The shock decision by parent company Paramount has left production company ITV scrambling to find a new home for the series, hosted by Robert Irwin and Julian Morris. Now, despite the use of the term trusted sources, media outlets, they picked up on the story but called it speculation and rumour. It wasn't. It was reliable information from reliable sources, as I made clear. Now, the sources from this story are trusted, and they have been correct every time when it comes to stories about I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. 10 did issue a statement after we originally published the story saying decisions regarding the 2027's program schedule, including I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, will be made in the coming weeks. Look, that's fine. That's what PR types do. But the thing that always gets me is how gullible journalists are. They happily dismissed my reporting as rumours or speculation, despite me literally laying out my credentials on this topic. I guess I must be media's answer to Nostradamus, considering how good I am at guessing what's going to happen next. Call me a psychic. Call me Nostradamus. Here's the deal. When I speculate, I let you know I'm speculating. When I tell you something is coming from trusted sources, that means the info is pretty reliable. Can I be 100% guaranteed? No. But it usually ends up with me saying, McKnight was right. The TV industry is buzzing with the triumphant return of Angus Ross to Channel 7. Back in March, the popular programmer was sacked after a successful 27-year run at the network. There'd been no scandal, no performance issues. In fact, the only thing Angus had done was bring success to the network, which remained at number one. It truly was a bizarre decision. As I reported at the time, staff are shocked by the move and are now wondering if they are next. TV Black Box has heard some were even in tears. Many are wondering if there is anyone with television experience left to run the network. Now, coming back to 7, Angus has been given the new title of Managing Director, Television and Streaming, reporting to SCA Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Rowan Lund. In the expanded role, he will be responsible for all television and streaming content teams covering news, sport and entertainment across 7 and 7+. It's a smart move that sees all those departments funneling through him. And hasn't it been an interesting few months for 7 after its merger with Southern Cross Austereo? For a while, it looked like the radio side of the business had completely taken over. But the television arm has struck back in a power play no one saw coming. Steve Jackson at the Oz has been following the movements of Bruce McWilliam, who has suddenly become Southern Cross Media's second biggest shareholder. The legendary former 7 commercial director snaffled up 20 million shares in the newly merged media entity, which has set the cat amongst the pigeons. I'm a huge fan of Bruce. He gets TV, he's frank, and he's highly entertaining. We need more people like Bruce in the industry, people who have a personality. Media shouldn't be beige. Beige doesn't rate. With Bruce and Angus back, things are set to get very interesting indeed. Now, imagine this scenario. You're a reporter at the White House, one of the safest places in America. There's a strange noise. Sounds like fireworks, could be gunshots, but it could be anything. Well, that's how the scene played out for NBC News reporter Julie Zirkin in a clip that's gone viral, but it's led to her being mocked for her reaction.
What is that?
Sounds like fireworks.
Today, but this obviously comes just a couple of weeks after a shooting at the White House correspondence.
As you can see, she's confused. She initially thought the sounds were fireworks. It wasn't. A man had opened fire on officers at a checkpoint at the White House before being shot dead by the Secret Service. So it's a dangerous, confusing situation. And I just can't believe it led to headlines like this. NBC reporter dragged for clueless on-camera reaction to shots fired at White House. The copy went on to say, a clueless NBC reporter is being mocked on social media for her lackadaisical response to a crazed gunman opening fire outside the White House on Saturday night. So she's being mocked for not panicking, for trying to find out what was happening before jumping to conclusions. Is this really what it's come to? Armchair critics criticising the behaviour of someone in a potentially dangerous situation? It really is a sad state of affairs. She's a journalist. She's at the White House. She's in a safe environment. She's like, what is that noise? And of course, part of you thinks, is it gunfire? But you also don't want to be a nervous Nelly and start panicking at nothing. And if she had panicked and it was fireworks, people would have laughed at her for that. I just find it bizarre that anyone can have a go at this woman for having a reaction to something that we don't know how we would react in any situation. Why have a go at her just because it happened to be caught on camera? This is stuff that just makes me sad for society. People are doing a job. Let them be. The fallout continues after the axing of the Carl and Jackie O show, with staff now being made redundant. ARN has sacked content assistant Alfie Laguza, audio producer Dean Royston, and producer Eliza Brown. News.com.au reports the three were called to a meeting with HR to be informed of the news. And Media Week reports the censor on the show, Missy Balfour, has also been made redundant. Until now, staff on the show have been looked after by ARN after the contracts of Carl Sandilands and Jackie Henderson were terminated. In fact, Intern Pete spoke about the team during my interview with him recently. How are the Carl and Jackie O team doing? They have been through the ringer. Obviously, everything fell apart just so quickly. You must all be in shock over what's happened over the last few months.
Yeah. Look, I'll be honest with you. It's just been the wildest time ever. And, for that show, it's very on brand because we had wild times all the time. People always say the show would always finish off with a bang. Well, didn't see it coming that way. Anyway, my point is, the team is incredible. We've got an incredible, strong team. On air with Kiss has brought in Mike E, he's an incredible driver to steer the conversation, and some great familiar voices. Obviously, Brooklyn Ross, our newsreader. Today, we brought back Mayo. Now, Mayo is just a fan favourite of Kiss, and she has been for so long, Jamie. And she's just really down to earth because it is a family, no matter how you think about it. Yes, the two main hosts aren't there, but there is this beautiful family that's still happening, and we're all sticking together,
But you all must have been worried about your jobs. I mean, when the two leaders go, and I mean, hats off to ARN, they've kept you all on, and, you're still doing a show, but it would have been scary when this all started falling apart.
Absolutely. Yeah, Rob, I think the part with this is, of course, the first thing goes, where do I sit, right? You're always thinking about yourself because do I have a job with whatever this is? And I was definitely worried. But also it got to the point where you go, well, you've got to push on, because right now you need to keep pushing on, and that's what Colin Jack would do as well. You know what I mean? I think they're going to be very supportive of my steps moving forward now. But yes, were we worried? Yeah, absolutely we were. But I have to say, and credit where credit's due, I've had a little sneaky peeky at what the new ARN management have got coming up, and it's bloody exciting.
And obviously doesn't involve a censor, which makes sense. Carl and Jackie O is the only show that has a censor. With them gone, they don't need one. And it was always a much bigger production than its rival breakfast shows, but it was the biggest show in town. In fact, it was the biggest show in the country. This is really sad that people are losing their jobs. Carl and Jackie O represented so much. They were so big. They had a big team. When you take those pieces away, the replacement show, whatever that ends up being, doesn't need as many people to produce it as what Carl and Jackie O, well, maybe they did, maybe they didn't need that many people. They certainly felt like they did. ARN is in the rebuilding phase at the moment, so it will be interesting to see what they do in the coming year. It'll also be interesting to see what happens on Friday when there's more evidence put in the trial of Carl and Jackie O in their respective cases against ARN. We will be watching with interest and talking with our good friend Michael Burns about that. In the meantime, in the media, no job is safe, but at least Kyle has reached out and is offering those who have been sacked some sort of work with his company. Stephen Colbert finished up his nightly talk show last week in what can only be described as a bizarre finale. Look, I'm a big fan of Colbert's, but this last episode was just terrible. Now, Paramount says it cancelled the show because it was losing $40 million per year, while many in the media believe it was because he had angered Donald Trump with his constant jokes. I think the truth's probably somewhere in between. It's probably a bit of both. I saw a behind-the-scenes video which talked about, in one element, the suits he wears. They are custom-made Armani suits made in Italy, shipped to America, where he gets custom fittings. And it turns out he has around a dozen tuxedos because instead of reusing them, new ones were made every time there was a requirement for him to be in one, even if it was just for a skit. And then there's this photo of the production team. I mean, seriously, just how many people do you need to make an hour of television? It is insane. Now, since the final episode, Colbert has popped up on community television, returning to host a special edition of Only in Monroe. It was actually a fun idea and shows his sense of humour. It was really good. Now, I think this show could have pulled its budget back significantly without affecting the final product. There seems to have been a lot of fat on that show. And sure, that was fine when broadcast TV was king, but now you need to be mean and lean to survive. Seth Meyers got the memo. He no longer has a band on his show, and it hasn't suffered as a result. The remaining hosts of Late Night will need to make some tough decisions, financial decisions, if they want to keep their shows on air in the years ahead. That's for sure. Eurovision has come and gone for another year, but I found a video on YouTube that shows how they get each local market to sync up their graphics with local phone numbers. You see, two audio feeds are provided that cue the graphics. One is a voice that is there for manual operation. The other is tone that triggers the graphics on and off. Have a look at this very cool video from last year's event by TV Bits.
Graphics in 3, 2, 1, now. Graphics away in 3, 2, 1, now. Graphics in 3, 2, 1, now. Graphics away in 3, 2, 1,
It's a
now.
great long softball. He could do worse for a winner.
Graphics in 3, 2, 1, now. Graphics away in 3, 2, 1, now.
It's very cool, isn't it? And you'll notice that in the end credits, the BBC cuts away because it's a government broadcaster that can't show advertising. So when Eurovision's world feed is putting up sponsors, the BBC can't, so they go to a different graphic. The whole thing is a technical marvel, and there's videos there that shows you how the cameras are programmed. So someone's not actually there switching. It's actually all pre-planned ahead, and it just goes through, boom, change camera, boom, change camera, boom, change camera. Fabulous stuff. Go and have a look. That brings us to the end of this edition of Media McKnight. We'll be back again next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. But paid subscribers get the episode earlier that afternoon. Just go to youtube.com/@McKnight Tonight to subscribe. And of course, McKnight Tonight streams every Monday, Wednesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. I'm Rob McKnight. I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.